For more than a decade, the Long Island serial killer case stood as one of the most disturbing and frustrating unsolved crime investigations in the United States. It was a case filled with silence, delays, and unanswered questions. Multiple victims were found. Years passed, and yet no one was held responsible. This is the real story of the Long Island serial killer, a case that exposed failures in law enforcement, revealed how easily violence can hide in plain sight, and ultimately led to the arrest of a man who lived an ordinary life while allegedly committing extraordinary crimes. The story begins in May of 2010. A 24-year-old woman named Shannan Gilbert disappeared after visiting a client in Oak Beach, a gated community near Gilgo Beach on Long Island, New York. That night, Shannan made a frantic phone call to emergency services. She told the operator that people were trying to kill her. Her voice sounded confused, frightened, and panicked. She ran from house to house asking for help. Neighbors later described seeing her disappear into the darkness. After that, she was never seen again. At the time, police believed her disappearance might be accidental, but her family insisted something was wrong. They demanded a search. Months later, in December 2010, police began searching the area near Gilgo Beach. What they found would change everything. During the search, an officer and his dog discovered human remains hidden in thick brush along Ocean Parkway. The body had been wrapped in burlap and carefully placed off the side of the road. At first, investigators thought it might be a single tragic discovery, but as they expanded the search, more remains were found. Then more again. Within days, 4 separate victims were discovered along the same stretch of highway. All had been placed in similar locations. All had been concealed in a similar manner. These 4 victims would later become known as the Gilgo Four. The Gilgo Four were Melissa Barthelemy, Maureen Brainerd Barnes, Megan Waterman, and Amber Costello. All 4 women were in their 20s. All had advertised escort services online. All disappeared after meeting clients between 2007 and 2010. Investigators quickly noticed the similarities. Each woman vanished shortly after arranging a meeting through online ads. Each was contacted using prepaid burner phones. Each was later found wrapped in burlap along Ocean Parkway. This was not random violence. This was deliberate. This was organized. One of the most chilling elements of the case involved phone calls made after Melissa Barthelemy disappeared. Her sister received several calls from a man using Melissa's phone. The caller mocked her. He spoke calmly. He refused to identify himself. Phone records later revealed the calls were made from busy locations in Manhattan, including Times Square. This made tracking the caller extremely difficult. But it also revealed something important. The killer understood how to avoid detection. He knew how technology worked. He planned his actions carefully. As the investigation continued into 2011, police discovered additional remains along Ocean Parkway and nearby areas. In total, the remains of at least 10 individuals were found in the region. Some of these victims did not match the profile of the Gilgo Four. Some were male. Some were unidentified. Some appeared to be killed in different ways. This created confusion. Investigators debated whether one killer was responsible or whether multiple offenders had used the same dumping area. The lack of clarity slowed progress. The case became complicated and fragmented. At the same time, serious problems were developing inside the investigation itself. The Suffolk County Police Department faced internal leadership issues. There were allegations of misconduct and corruption among senior officials. Some detectives later claimed the case was not prioritized. Others said important tips were ignored. Families of the victims felt shut out and dismissed. Years passed. No arrests were made. Public attention faded. The Long Island serial killer case went cold. For more than a decade, the killer remained unidentified. The beach returned to normal. The traffic moved along Ocean Parkway, but beneath the surface, fear and anger remained. Many believed the case would never be solved. Everything changed in 2022. A new task force was created to re-examine the case from the beginning. This time, investigators approached the evidence differently. They used modern forensic tools. They reviewed old data with fresh eyes. They focused on details that once had been overlooked. One of those details involved a witness statement connected to Amber Costello. Years earlier, a witness had described seeing a large, dark-colored Chevrolet Avalanche near Amber shortly before she disappeared. At the time, the lead was not fully pursued. Now, investigators returned to it. They searched vehicle registration databases. They narrowed the list to a small number of possible owners. One name stood out: Rex Heuermann. He was an architect. He lived in Massapequa Park, Long Island. He worked in Manhattan. He was married and had children. On the surface, he appeared to live a normal, quiet life. But when investigators looked closer, troubling patterns emerged. Cell phone records showed that burner phones used to contact the victims had been active near Heuermann's home and workplace. Location data placed those phones in the same areas at critical times. Another pattern appeared. When the victims disappeared, Heuermann's wife was often out of town. This coincidence repeated itself multiple times. Investigators believed this suggested opportunity and planning. The most significant evidence came from DNA. Hair found on some of the victims was tested using modern forensic methods. The results were striking. The DNA was consistent with Heuermann and members of his household. This physical evidence provided a direct connection. For the first time in more than a decade, the case had strong scientific proof. In July of 2023, Rex Heuermann was arrested. The announcement shocked the public. After years of silence, the Long Island serial killer finally had a name. Heuermann was charged with the murders of Melissa Barthelemy, Maureen Brainerd Barnes, Megan Waterman, and Amber Costello. Additional charges followed as the investigation expanded. He pled not guilty. Police searched his home for weeks. Hundreds of items were removed for examination. From the outside, the house looked ordinary, a quiet street, neighbors going about their lives. But investigators believed crucial evidence had been hidden inside for years. Even with an arrest, many questions remain unanswered. Was Rex Heuermann responsible for all the victims found along Ocean Parkway, or only some? Were there additional victims elsewhere? Were other suspects involved? The investigation is still ongoing. One of the most important lessons of this case involves how the victims were treated. Many were dismissed because of their profession. Their disappearances were not taken seriously at first. Families repeatedly warned authorities. Those warnings were often ignored. Experts believe this delay may have allowed the crimes to continue. The Long Island serial killer case is not just about one suspect. It is about institutional failure. It is about silence. And it is about what happens when society decides some lives matter less than others. Today, Gilgo Beach appears peaceful. The road is quiet. The ocean moves steadily in the distance, but the past has not disappeared. For the families of the victims, justice is still unfolding. Answers are still being sought, and the full truth may take years to uncover. This case reminds us that evil does not always look frightening. Sometimes it looks ordinary, it lives nearby, and it goes unnoticed. The Long Island serial killer case is no longer just an unsolved mystery. It is a warning and a reminder that silence can be dangerous, and that even after many years, the truth can still come to light.